All right, back on the Prado. We are midway, not really midway, but just starting to do a water pump on it. All I've done is remove the fan, which I was doing in another video when I was changing the engine mounts. I've already got the bash plates out, which were removed in the other video, but they're pretty straightforward and simple anyway. So luckily for us, it seems like the pulley there is just going to slide off, which is great, and then hopefully after that it's just a water pump and a matter of me having the right one. But I've got to back off this belt real quick, which looks to be 14 mil to lock it up and a 14 mil to back it off, so I'll get that happening. All right, pretty easy starting off here. 14 mil there, bit tight, crack it off. Right, all you got to do is just get it finger tight like that, and you can get the ratchet on this one, and that's what's going to back it off. Sort of hand loose, which is good. So you just want to go just enough so you can pull it off. Alright, that happened. Alright, now to get this other belt. Looks to be a 12 mil to lock it in there. Crack that. I noticed this adjuster bolt is bent, and the bracket for it might be straightening it up when I pull it out. See how I go. That's got to be loose enough. I'll start backing off this 10mm bit here. Jeez, I might have to undo this other alternator bolt right here. Alright, so now I've loosened that bolt there. That's the alternator swing free. Bolts are getting fairly loose. Okay, that's the belts all gone. It's coming off with it. The pulley. Well, I'm going to be pulling off this timing belt cover to give me a bit more room to look at what's going on. Well, that's easy enough. 4 of these bolts, easy with the fan off, and these 2 clips. Rightio, we are back the day after. Got some new belts because the old ones are rubbish, and now I'll keep going on this because I had to sort of debate whether or not I'm going to do the half job on this water pump, but I think I'm just going to do the whole, replace everything new that I have, which means I'm going to have to pull this belt off. And I was debating whether or not I should just change it while I'm here, which is kind of not a bad idea, but I think it's got like another 40,000 till it's supposed to be due, and it'd be good to just change it when it's supposed to, just so it keeps on being in line. And ideally then you just do it twice. I do change it now and maybe change it when it's due, even though you can just set the timer to whatever you like, but I just like to keep it neat on the intervals. So I'll see how this tensioner sort of feels once I put it back, but that's slack as, because that's the way that it was turned last, and this is tight, and we'll see that it, make sure it comes similar like this once it's back in. But now where we're at to start is I think we just got to start pulling this tensioner off. I cannot find a good place to put the camera for this, but basically there's just 2 10mm bolts right there and there for this tensioner, and then it'll just pop off when it's off. I'll get that done. Quick hot tip for removing these. The upper one I leave in first. Then I remove the bottom one without cracking the top one. Then when you crack the top one, the tensioner just pivots over, slacks the belt off, and then it's easy to remove that one as well. There's no load on the threads. And even though they have all the marks to line up later, I might line this one up where it belongs right now, and then I can worry about this one when I get to putting it all back on. That way it's all set up, ready to go for later. So I'll get the 19mm I think on the bar and line up the marks. Pretty positive with the way that it works is that if you line this one up to there, there's a potentially, this one could be 180 degrees out. So you want to make sure that you get the marks, diamonds lined up there properly. A little arrow to the notch on the gear thing. But there you go, mine's good. And I ended up cracking this when I was just trying to put it in reverse to wind it around. So I ended up going the other way and then going back that way to get it right, because that's sort of how it works the best. Seems like it'll crack if I just put it in reverse and get the compression happening. So I'll just do that. And just get it close enough, and then I can just sort of adjust where I want that one to be later with the ratchet, and then put that one on, get it right, put it all back. I'll be a bit sharp with it, see how quickly I can get it to crack off, how little it turns. Yeah, it's going to turn a lot. Right, that cracked. It's a bit off now, but I can line it all up later. So I've got to get the tensioner off now though, so I'll do that. Alright, before I get too keen, I'll just kick this drain pan underneath there, and there's just a little tap sort of right there. I'll go under. We just crack that open. We'll start getting the coolant out so we don't make too much of a mess. So you don't have to pull it out, you just got to crack it and it leaks out of that tap. You can pull it out if you want it to come out faster, but we got a bit of time here doing this. So I'll pull that cap off and keep going removing this belt. Apparently you can just get these off with a pry bar. See how lucky we get. And hopefully we don't have to pull the idler off. Kind of looking like we don't. So now I can just pop this belt off. Oh, look at that, it's already coming off, sweet. Boom. Alright, next job is to not lose the keyway. Okay, so it came out, so I'm going to take it out. Yep, it'll just sit in there nice once you slide the gear in, so I'm going to pull that out. Leaving this up here out of the road, and definitely do not want to lose that. Now it's just a matter of these easy 10mm bolts, and we should be able to get this plate off. There's a bit of glue behind here, and if you're keen you can change your seal, but I'm going to leave it because it might cause more dramas doing that. So yeah, just get all these happening, and yeah, you're going to need to sort of pry it off because it's going to have a bit of glue on it. Alright, got 6 bolts here which were previously Loctited, which I don't know, might have, I don't know, been alright, but wasn't too tight though, but it was a bit annoying. So now I'm pretty sure it was 6 bolts. I may not have had to remove that one, but I'm pretty sure I did. I haven't had a good look at it, but see if I can pull it. No luck. I'll get a pry bar and start wedging and see what happens. Got to go easy with it. And is that a bolt for it? I think it is. Yeah, that's probably another one. Alright, 7 bolts I think. You see it right here. Oh, you've got to be joking. You're going to need to get a small socket. Alright, that's why you don't pry too hard, because you could have done some damage there. Gee, someone's real keen here on the Loctite. Pretty sure it's not factory. Okay, hopefully that one was involved. 7 bolts. And looks like it was all done at once. Sorry, yeah, this must have been either done before or factory Loctited, which is kind of rare sounding. You know, this is coming off a whole lot easier. And hopefully we don't get any oil spillages, because I've had this motor off for a fair while. No. Let's see, what's going on here? Just not going to come forward enough to get it off that. I'm pretty sure it's a 10mm Allen key. Right, undone it easy enough, 10mm Allen key. And always make sure you don't lose that washer on top. Alright, now we're cooking. Okay, I wonder what's going on down there. Looks more to me like a little bit of silicon spillage, if anything. It's got the bolts there. Nah, no way. It's got the, see how there's the oil over there? There's no oil on this side, so it's just, I can just put this straight back, but I might clean the old silicone off so I get a nice smooth bond when I put it back. But now we can get to this water pump properly, which is what we want. So I'll move this out of the way. Yeah, that's all right. Okay, looks like it's all just going to be 10mm fun. And oh man, there's going to be some alternator dramas. Okay, maybe I'll try attack that first. Looks like there's these 12mm bolts right there. I've got to get them off because the water pump goes behind it, and it looks like it's just a part of the alternator bracket. So I think if I pull this bolt out, the one of the alternator bolts here, alternator bolts, you got to loosen off to get it adjusting. You got to pull that right out, which there's plenty of room for. And then if I take off the 2 mount bolts, it should just come out. See what we get. Well, That adjuster, that bolt that goes in the alternator is 14mm head, just to clear that up. And then there's another bolt where I've got this ratchet right now. Should remove, actually, you know what? If I've just got this cracked, might give me enough room, but it might not. So I might have to pull it out and get this whole bracket out of the road. But basically, I pried the alternator down a little bit. Oh, pried it down there. That way I could fit in for the ratchet, the little bolt that's holding the rest of the bracket on. I've got it cracked. See if anything's changed here. Not much. Damn, I wonder if there's another bolt holding it on. I don't know where the hell it is. And just a heads up, if you're playing around near the alternator there, you got to watch where you put your ratchet, because if you make contact, you're in trouble. You'll blow your ratchet up. Looks like it's loose though, so we have something happening. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to wriggle the water pump out around that stuff, so I'm going to have to take that bolt right out, which would be nice anyway once it's out there. I'll have all the room in the world. Oop, alternator just slipped right out. Got heaps of room now. How'd that work? Oh, the adjuster, I should have done that earlier. Just pivoted right off. Alright, well, that made it easy. Okay, so this is the main bolt that ran through the alternator. And then we've got the odd one and the other two that were together before. They're the same size. Okay, hopefully that bracket just comes straight out now. Nope, might be more dramas, but should have all the room in the world. There's another one. Hopefully it's just the last one down there. We do have plenty of room for it. Right there. Okay, I'll get that off and pull the bracket out. Alright, well, I'll be damned. Looks like we've got everything off to get this access to this water pump, I think. Looks like it's all just going to be 10mm bolts all around, and I'll just use the new one to refer where these bolts should be to get it out. Okay, so this is a new pump out of the box. So it seems like there's just this one bolt that sort of holds the assembly together, and I've counted 7 other ones, not including these, that hold it through, because most of them go through both parts. These ones just, they don't. And it's kind of tempting to just only pull this off. It would save taking off a lot of things, but now that we got this piece and that the wagon there's getting a little bit old, once we do this, you know, it's all new, you know, no mucking around. It's all possible things, like to put it all back together. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, hopefully once we put this on, and everything in that sort of department's going to last. But if you don't mind just mucking around with your car every once in a while, it's probably not a bad idea just to pop that one off. Get this thing off. You wouldn't have to pull the timing belt off, I'm pretty sure. Wouldn't have to muck around with that alternator. It'd save a lot of time. It might be worth a shot. Because I'm pretty sure that that is the telltale, and actually I'm pretty positive that's a telltale, and that's where I believe our one's leaking from. So it's all replaced in this new unit. So anyway, back to it. Okay, so I had a nut for, basically the nut went here, the little bolt went there, then the bottommost bolt, which I think was this one, was this long one. It's a stud basically with the nut on the end. Then all the rest were these ones. So it shouldn't be too hard to put back together. And now just got to do that. Alright, that's great. I've put my drain tray under there to catch that water. I think I should kick it a bit back. It's a bit better. Alright. See if it fits. Yeah, see, look at all that gunk. Might have made the right choice here by pulling the whole thing off. Yeah, I think it was actually leaking just from the gasket or something in the back. are just right here pretty much. Alright, see all this weird stuff in there? I could see that dripping all over from the bottom. That's how I could tell this pump was leaking, but I can't really tell if it was coming from the gasket back here or if it was the water pump, where I could have just done the easy job. But it seems like I did have to do what I've done here, which is alright. So now it's all going to be fresh from here on out. The old gasket doesn't look too suspicious, and it all came off in one piece. It's a pretty cool little thing there, all steel and that. Oh, I guess I should try to pull this nut out. That way I sort of have a stud. Otherwise stuff's not really going to line up. But then again, I should get away with it. If I just got the one stud in there. As long as I line the one up and then get a bolt started, should work pretty well. So I got a bit too keen there. We're not ready to put the pump on yet. Got to put the new studs in. Rip this out. That's all right. Now it depends what you want to do. You could Loctite these in. It's not really a bad idea, but I'll just send them home as they are. All right, basically what you're going to want to do, you put one, and I'll do this one, short end going in, upside down fan nut, enough thread to screw another one the right way. Two 12mm spanners, lock it up, and then wind it down. Oop. And back them off. And that's it. Not going anywhere. Alright, so I did a bit of wiping it down with a rag. Try to do everything kind of clean here. Watching where I put my hands. And I'll stick a bolt through there, then put the gasket through the right one. Alright, then as long as I line up the stud that's hanging out there, all should go well. Okay, I'm not holding the bolt anymore, hoping for the best. Slowly lowering it in. Just got to get one of these bolts in. Hopefully this goes straight through the gasket as well. Okay, that's starting to thread in, that's great. Now I just put all the rest of them all in and nip them all up. The one that already had the nut in it from the from the box, I just tightened it down a little bit more, probably didn't need it, and then the one below at the bottom. Well, I didn't tighten that shiny one till I went over them again, but I just did it in that pattern. If you're keen, you'll probably be able to find the proper pattern and a torque spec. I just gave them a real good nip. Pretty bang on, didn't strip nothing, but they're down tight, so that's what you want. Next up, we just got to do everything we've done but back in reverse, and I'm pretty positive the next step is to get these alternator brackets on, which might have been smart to do before, but I have a feeling that the way how all this stuff sort of goes on bang on with dowels and stuff, I should be able to get the threads lined up even though I've got this tight now. And if we have problems, then I might have to back it all off. Okay, got this surface cleaned up, ready to go. Could have etched it with some sandpaper, but it's all right. Clean it up. Now, to get that alternator bracket, I've got the alternator back in, the main bolts through finger tight, so that way I can adjust the belts later. You should probably get that started before you tighten down the water pump properly, because it was a bit of a challenge to get them started off, but it did happen. Now I've got this piece siliconed up. There's a seal that runs from there to there on the rocker cover or whatever it's called. Yeah, to stop that from leaking. That's why the silicone wasn't there to start. I'm going to leave this dry because I'm pretty positive there's nothing this is stopping anyway. It's just a bit of excess from the other part. So yeah, now I'll toss this back on. See how this goes. Oop, way too low. Alright, well it's on. Now I'll just put all them bolts in, nip that up. Alright, that went up nicely. Got all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them bolts back in. I just started tightening them down pretty damn good with the 1/4 inch ratchet, so not too hardcore, but basically because the dowels to line this up were sort of around here, I was really just focusing on pressing them in snug, but at the same time getting them ones. And then once these ones sort of bottomed out, I bottomed them ones out, and then I sort of just hit them like there, just went down. Again, there's all like proper ways to do this stuff. If you want to find it, you can, but this will work. And yeah, I'm going to go without putting silicone there and see what happens, because I don't see it holding anything up. And then next after that, I got the tensioner here. You put it in the vise. Sometimes you got to do this if for some reason you pulled the pin on it when you're installing a new one, but I've got this split pin from an assortment kit that I have. Clamp the tensioner in with the vise, and you put that pin through the other one, and now this will be locked up, ready to go on. And then once I have it all set up, you pull the pin out, and then it pops out, tensions the belt. Okay, so now the tensioner's in there, and little heads up, when you put the pin in, you're going to want to make sure you have it facing the right way so it's easy to pull out. And with this, just got it down snug, heaps tight, and just want to make sure that it's freely wobbling, ready to go. Now I put this gear back, made sure I put the keyway back, slid it on. Now I've got this hand tight. I found a tension for it, and it was 98 Newton meters. So I got this torque wrench set to 100 right here, and I'm just going to put multi-grips on the gear and see if it holds up well enough. Let's see what we can get out of it. Well, it's going off. I kind of feel like it was a bit tighter to take off, so I think I'm gonna go a little bit tighter than the spec. Yep, that'll do. Alright, now that bottom one is not lined up anymore, so go down there with the 19. Get it back on the mark. And this one is pretty much there, but just a little bit more. So when you got these two on their marks, basically what you're going to want is a little bit of tension on it. On the right side, I'll show you how it goes. Slip it on here, and a pulley. Get these ribs happening. But it ended up happening. I had to set that up, and it was a bit tight on here. I just had it up here, and then I was spinning that around to pull this bit tight, give me some slack here, and I could get it around. But now I've got that lined up to the mark, that one lined up to the mark, the tension here that you want, heaps of slack here because we haven't pulled the pin out. Then we can pull the pin out now, and it's all going to be sweet. Alright, out it goes. So tension there, bit of tension there, lined up. Alright, now we can put the cover on. All right, I was in the process of putting the fan back on. I figured I better just fill up this coolant. Basically what you want to do is just, you take this bleeder screw out here on the Prados and just fill it right up. There's a low, a full, and a B for bleed apparently somewhere. I've seen them on the Hiluxes. Oh yeah, there it is, over there. But basically we're just going to fill it right up and then just let it settle, and then see how much goes in. Should take between 8 to 10 litres. And yeah, after we fill it up, we'll just let it settle down and maybe fill it back up again and then take it for a drive. And then while we let it set, we can put the fan back on and the belts. Okay, so I've got it all pretty much done now, but basically I slid the pulley on the water pump studs there, and sort of put all the belts where they're supposed to go, even though the pulley was a little bit off and that. And then I put the fan over it, started putting the nuts on, and then I just got them as good as I can, kind of finger tight. Then started using a spanner till they just got nipped up like they should. And now that all these bolts are kind of tight, I can tighten these bolts properly, these nuts. And then sort of, once they're tight enough, it should sort of spin around so I can get access to the next ones. And I'll just go around there and it's time for a test drive.